Of course, the Drakes stomped their way through. They finally finished the tournament in first place. So now we get an opportunity to see every single trio from the Drakes house competing in one single game of Vondel Resurgence. We have 8 trios on the field, $5,000 up for grabs, but every single player in this lobby will be getting paid some of that prizing. So as long as you spawn in and hit the ground, you're good to go. It all comes down to just the overall points. If you get first place, we get 1 elimination. It doesn't really matter. You need to get the overall points to go in your favor. If you do, you win the large sum of the cash. But really, this is just a nice little victory lap for all of our players here on the Drake side. And lucky, I mean, you get paid just for showing up. It's not a bad way to go.
Yeah, you get paid for just showing up. And I mean, not only that, though, like the teams that are in this are obviously from the winning squads, right? I mean, you got to have FIFA, you're going to have Diaz. I believe even Hisoka's on here. So I think I saw Tommy as a bounty as well. So even though you're, half the lobby is chopped down, it's a bit of a sweaty lobby you're in.
You could take some time to like breathe. You don't have to worry about rotating too quickly, but it is interesting to wonder, like in a situation like this where you have half the lobby gone, if Tommy has like a bounty on his head, do you just send it? Like, look, you're already getting paid out. It doesn't matter. Like in this instance, I'd be like, look, we don't have to worry about like rotating into a gunfight. Why don't we just start going on the hunt and finding some of our top teams?
I mean, I'm not too sure if there's any bans for this last map, but I'm definitely rocking riot shields and RPGs and just making sure everybody knows how dominant myself, you, and space, space banner inflections are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just a little bit of psychoness, just a little bit. But already starting off with a 1 down. It's going to be Destroy, who will bite the dust early, as Noobs found 1, but immediately traded out. I don't know if that was Lucian or zlaner. Either way, this is an interesting spot to be in for a lot of teams because, I mean, you're getting all the info. This is everybody. It's not just like, all right, we have a team to work back. Are we going to rotate into somebody? Your half the teams are in front of you. You get 1 or 2 gunfights, you might win the whole thing.
Yep. And most teams seems to be doing kind of like what they've already been doing throughout the matches. Hisoka's still landing over at ball. Diazbiffle landing in his spot, getting their class setups and getting ready to go. So no real, like, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe even a chopper play. I'm not too sure if there is any, but
I would love that.
Yeah, most teams seem to be kind of just playing how they normally would. Hisoka getting some shots down. Might be from Diaz's squad, who usually lands up top. See how this pans out.
We can loot up here.
I'd love somebody to use the chopper so much, but I do not know if we'll get it. I also don't know if players will fall back on prior classes. If we're going to see the same loadouts we saw in traditional Vondel Resurgence so far today. They'll drop back into the swing of things. Very, very weak. zlaner's got to be careful. Now he's fine. But here we go. 1 more falling. I think that's Chrissy who went down.
Might be a camp. Squinting to see. To get caught on the rotation just like that. He's script. The quick elimination. Oh, here we have Chrissy.
No.
Working the MP5 up the staircase here. And although half the lobby is not here, it seems like the fighting has been just non-stop since the match started. We have 10 teams to begin with and still 10 teams remaining. So the thing about this, I think a lot of teams, as long as they're playing it smart, are going to have a big opportunity to regain as well. Right? Because it's like, okay, if you die, you can't land back at your same spot. You now have another 10 free team slots that might occupy a certain zone or a certain part of the map that you can maybe land on. Like, all right, this is free. I can get a quick regain and get back in the fight like nothing happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And like POIs become much more accessible because you don't have to worry about people stacking on the rooftops, or maybe we're going university and we're trying to stack there as well. Like you could see some differences in what maybe early like teams that like favor the early game, what they try to do. Teams that just try to play for placement, maybe they start favoring going to university, going to different parts of PD. It just really depends on how these specific players from the Drakes want to play it. But again, this is just all a victory lap. If you're just joining us, we concluded 8 matches today. All it comes down to is this one final game. All of the Drakes are playing in this against each other as a reward for completing and winning the entire tournament for their house. Everybody gets paid out. It all comes down to total points and not placement. So whoever has the most points overall at the end of this 9th game, just on game alone here, will of course get the large sum of that $5,000. But as long as you show up, you get paid. And so far we got 28 players still up, 2 eliminations to the name of Breadman. This is a team you could expect them to go all the way here.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a slower start, I think, off initial games, but eventually were very consistent throughout the matches, and some interesting gameplay as well. We saw with FTXs coming in from both Brett and Joe. That seemed very beneficial for the water fights. We saw multiple different zones and near water, at least majority of it taking place there. And, they came prepared. They got 3rd place last match. 2nd, 1st place a couple times. Very consistent trio. And excited to see them play on September 16th as well for the World Series Warzone LAN.
It's a good shout as well. I mean, we got so many opportunities coming up for a lot of these players and so many big tournaments as well. This is just, look, a great warm-up, right? And it's also an investment into the community. It's an opportunity to build their streams, build their content pieces out, give the community a chance to see them play at the highest level, but it also gets their thumbs warm for some of the bigger tournaments coming around the bend here at the end of the year. And nice shots there. Back on from Breadman. Great job all the way through. He takes down Oki. One of the players, of course, from FIFA Kill Squad that took home that first place finish at the end of here of week 5, dethroning our prior champions 4 weeks in a row. Biffle and company. Cheryl will drop, destroy on your screen, still rolling.
Doing what they can, destroy, keeping the momentum up, taking out Tommy. Hopefully clear out that full kill in between him and Z-Link. Get a shot in the back. He's got to move though. That airstrike's coming in hot. Just like that. Not really many options to get out of that one.
It's weird that there's not many options to get out of that, and we're also like in a lobby where it's like the opportunities to get gunned down are cut in half. So like you have more opportunities, but also sometimes less, just depending on who isn't covering you. Because where you might have been getting third-partied in prior games, and in situations like this, there's no one there to kind of take gunfire away from you. There's nobody to distract an opposing team. At this point, it's just you versus the people in front. Wall-to-wall gunfights. Smoke will at least buy that squad some time to escape the pressure. Good shots from zlaner, but unable to finish the play.
They're trying to work the upper staircase here, and they're kind of just trying to work their way into zone. It looks like it's going to end on the far right-hand side towards Castle, which is not a favorable area to land. Just because, you know, there's not a lot of cover towards Castle unless you're inside the building. Outside of that, it's just cemetery, open land, and some water, which I know players aren't really too fond of. They like to, you know, navigate through building to building, cover to cover, just like we're seeing Destroy take this staircase as he waits for Rolo to take this with him.
Now here's a question, right? In a situation like this where let's say the points don't matter, do you rotate early? Do you try to get to the end zone early now because of the amount of teams that aren't playing in this? Or do you still play like traditional Warzone like we just saw, where you kind of temper those expectations and think more about getting kills on rotation and then try to get to zone a little bit later?
I think you kind of just play your traditional Warzone. Don't really pay, you know, too much mind to the amount of players in the match. I think that number will be a little bit more critical towards the end game. But for now, just play normal. You know, just do your thing. Take fights at, you know, fight after fight. At the end of the day, you're still going up against the same caliber of player, right? You're still going up against the best of the best. So, you know, you can't, you know, pick up your tempo too fast, because as soon as you run into a squad, it's not going to be easy pickings. It's going to be very difficult to kind of navigate through.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. I mean, the tempo might change, but the skill level doesn't. So you're still running into the best of the best. Specifically, the house that just won. For that reason, you're not going to see a slowdown from them. Speaking of, the players that took home that game 8, that victory royale just about 15 minutes ago on your screen, FIFA kill will drop. Oki still alive, and Wiz will be there to help as a guardian angel, but this is a team that absolutely can start gunning everybody in the lobby if they choose to. But I'm actually interested to know if Biffle and company are still around, if they're how they're doing. As Ahsoka over to his screen will try to escape some pressure with zone to his back.
You know, and one last note on FIFA, he was a player even back in Verdansk when, you know, slide canceling was the thing and all these movement people. He wasn't really all about the movement. He was very was just a player that worried about his positioning and navigating, and still to this day is still doing that and being just so dominant. So it'll be interesting to see as well as it transitions to the new game, MW3. But love to see how that all pans out. zlaner though, destroying them. One team that's actually officially dropped. We're now down to 9. I'm not too sure who that was, but they're still trying to hold up.
Nice.
Roy?
I don't either.
Trying to get the res off. Hey. PvE going back to their roots back in Verdansk with the heli.
All right, Almond, I see you. And he might get one. He might get one just close enough. Unable to do so. Wait. He's going to think twice. All right, you got noobs in the air as well. Get one ping out. You might, I mean, either you get, if you get this kill and pick up noobs, that's the greatest play of the day. Oh, so close.
Oh man, I'm loving this though. I'm loving this. He's got enough fuel to kind of stay till end game too if he wanted to.
Yeah, and look, he's got 4 elims, not accounting what everybody else has. They have, other than, of course, Louis CM with 6, they might have enough points alone to, like, get them comfortably into placement, play for the end game with the heli, and if they win it, they might win off total points overall. So it's not a terrible strat, but it does come down to, again, just kind of a kill race here, like we've seen in prior games where you have time to let it breathe, play for placements, or play for eliminations off rip. This one is basically a kill race because you need that multiplier to kick in for the points overall.
See how they pan it out. And I think now teams will start getting ready, situate themselves for endgame, because although there's only 9 teams remaining, you still want to be in a good position to close it out. And like we mentioned earlier, there's very limited spots to where you can kind of post up. Even though there's only 9 teams up, the zone is not in your favor. You're gonna only have Castle, and just like that, wiped. 9th place goes to Louis and Co. And that's gonna be Hisoka with the clean team wipe.
Here are the nice comms there. Hisoka still has all members up, Myapo and Skullface working in tandem for the moment. Tommy will drop. You get one there. So one member of Team E falls, and Tommy was the only member not in the sky, so that at least gives you some information. And a bunch of pings. All right, this is about to get dicey.
Push up a little bit more, maybe even get back in the recon drone if he needs to. Looks like that's going to be the play. Give his teammates those pings so he can kind of... Skullface, he get those entry kills. That's going to be one. I think that's on zlaner, if I'm not mistaken. It is. So he's looking for destroying Raul. Doko working his way inside. Back into the recon drone. Another player on the outskirts. On the rooftop as well. Ipo's a little bit farther too, so it's honestly a 2v4 with this fight with Hisoka and Skullface being the only ones here. Resurgence is disabled, so no longer are they gonna be able to spawn back up here. And they're actually fighting Shifty. He is in Sage right here.
Yep. They at least get one member down, so there's the #1 team across all of this tournament between the Lions and the Drakes. Skullface working down slowly. Quick feet, better shots. Great jump on a Raul. Another kill, 9 so far for Hisoka.
And although there's limited amount of people still alive in the match, I mean, it seems like the kills are still flowing for Hisoka and Co here. Got to break the double digits going into 5th zone. A UAV is going to help him out with that. Now they got to start paying attention to this rotation, right? He's going to have a flare in his back pocket, but for the majority of it, they can kind of post up here if need be, but what's their mindset, right? Are you going for kills here? Are you playing the end game, you know? Well, as soon as they kind of figure out what their goal is, you'll kind of see how they start to play.
An interesting thing is that, like, again, we're kind of ballparking it here. You got 9 for Hisoka. I assume we're looking at around 13, 14, maybe 15 elims overall for this squad. If that's the case, that might be enough, or even more. A quick flash, I think that might have been 20 or something. This might be enough just alone if they play for placements to win them the entire game. And I think that's what they're weighing. They're not sure, obviously, how many eliminations everybody else has, but they're trying to do the math and say, did we do enough to play alone in the placements and just wait for the final zone to lock in? And if we win this, we might win the whole thing.
It'll be a dub here for Hisoka and them. Hopefully slow it down. And there's the Yuis. The calls are coming in. Beautiful comms coming in from Hisoka. You always want to have that pocket Yui when need be. Pop that up. Get aggressive when you need to.
They're going to wait to use that. I don't blame them. You're not getting pushed. There's no need. TBE on your screen, led by, of course, none other than Noobs. You haven't seen a lot of them today. Very surprising for a team that won back-to-back-to-back games last week with a sub. Tommy comes back in today. We saw them briefly on stream. They did not find a victory royale.
I mean, we can hold.
And back into the water is Joewo.
Team rolling out 3.
Yeah.
No surprise there. Joe and Breadman gonna go ahead and take the water positioning here. Though they don't have the F-Tag sieges, they do have the pistol they spawn back in with. Limex now trying to hopefully close and push these players in front of them. Got some
They're shooting at me though. They see me.
They dived into the water.
They smoked again. They know that we have pistol. They're just gonna go far over there.
Yeah.
Just come play this
Comms
water.
coming
You
in
just
for
play this
Fred.
water as 3 over here.
I like this. Just like, if you don't have to take the challenge, if you're unsure, like, why force it?
I think we're the only team on this
They went up into the building. They went up into the building.
Okay.
There's an MP5 Cronin and perks on me. I don't know if you guys want.
Yeah, there's a guy right here. There's a guy right here. Like, not yellow, but across
Look at
the
that
road from
zone,
yellow.
man.
You think I can grab that?
Yeah, probably.
I'm trying to get those plates up. He's gonna go ahead and have a secondary and a Cronin to work with. Basically, his ideal loadout isn't in hand. Hopefully, get a plate off. He's one more to max out and top off his HP.
Okay.
A team that we've seen consistently in the top 3 performance throughout the day and finish 3rd place. And hopefully close out their last match of the day.
Lula's very, very weak. Led the charge with the heli meta today. And right now, finding herself in the final 11 or so players. Coming down to the wire, only 3 eliminations. Vortex still alive. Never mind. She's the last up.
Gonna fall to Shifty though, so that means Shifty and Sage and Biffle are still alive. Not too sure how Hisoka's team's doing, but she's gonna hopefully try to get the res. The buy station's gonna be over the hedge. Gonna pop a flare just in case.
Nice.
Brolic up right there.
Do you have another smoke or no?
They're good to go.
That's really well done.
I'm gonna go
Went from danger zone to everything's all right.
Up on the roof, up on the roof.
Breadman might have just caught and Brolic rotating in, but if that's the case, all right, more numbers still fall. On challenge out the window, and Joewo was prepared but not ready. Lula will punish him. Whew.
Oh man, Diaz in an ideal situation here. Him and Co still alive. 7 eliminations for Diaz alone. Hopefully this team is above the double digits. Shots are looking good with the Cronin, but he can't overpeak that. It'll get put down. Not too sure if he has a self-res either. The idea is to hopefully play the low ground here, but they got to make sure it's secure before they jump. He's now calling it that he's going to go ahead and spread out just a little bit. Sage as well. That's something this team does well with each other. They position like a triangular position. They don't overstack with each other, but they're there close enough to help each other out.
I like that call, right? Like, make sure the low ground's clear before you push, but sometimes you have to force the issue here, like we're seeing now. Zone slowly moving away. Now in the dead center of it. Sage with the ping, but one gets taken out up top. It's Ahsoka, of course, the top 2 teams that we've seen week in, week out, going head-to-head here in the final game, game number 9. Up to Biffle with the snap. He finds it onto Vortex, looking for one more. Hisoka up top might become the next victim. The smoke is down. Hisoka wins the gunfight, but it's actually Skullface that's there. Dolphin dive for the win right on top of the zone.
Skullface can be able to pop this self-res, be able to get up. It looks like all of them are healthy and alive. Not too sure if Shifty and Sage are able to make out of the chaos. Hisoka gonna get looked at for the left-hand side, gonna focus. That's gonna be on Biffle there. But Myapo's gonna take out Limax. We're down to a 3v2 situation. Hopefully, it's gonna be Hisoka versus Diaz. Shifty and Sage, Skullface, Myapo on Team Hisoka. Players gonna be coming in. It doesn't look pretty for Team Diaz.
He flew away far.
Nothing in the water.
Yeah, this guy flew fucking towards cemetery.
Yeah, they got to. I mean, like, Biffle and company, like, they're going to have to rotate, right? Like, there's really not much to do.
He's going for a heal off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1v3. You're not going to win this. I'm sorry. It's probably not going to happen. You're so away from the action. You got nowhere to go. It was a valiant effort, but my goodness.
He's got another self.
Oh, my God. If he pulls this off, I mean, surely there's no way. Yeah, they're like, dude, there's no way.
He's doing what he can. Can Sage do it in a 1v3 situation? Oh, man.
I got some. You're good.
GG's all around. Myapo, Hisoka, Skullface, 23 elims, and the first place finish on overall points. I would venture to say that might do it here for Game 9, and that might be the final finish. Reflections. They finally got the win. It was the one time we were like, all right, when is Hisoka and Biffle going to go head-to-head? It's going to go Hisoka's way. It happens here in Game 9, and they take home first place. I assume overall in points, too, with the amount of elims they put up, they got the job done.
Got to tally the scores right, but I think it's pretty safe to say Hisoka does get first. But I mean, what a way to end it throughout the entirety of this event. Lucky, we've been watching Hisoka battle against Diazbiffle. You know, for the first couple of weeks, it was Biffle in first, Hisoka in second. When is Hisoka finally going to overtake